Så Keren med oss live fra Israel, og samtalen kommer til å gå på engelsk, men vi skal ta en oppsummering av hva som skjer og hva vi snakker om. Keren, welcome.
Thank you. Hello.
Hey, how are
Hi.
you doing?
I'm doing okay. Like today, it's the first day that I'm actually doing a little bit better than I had in the past week or so, because it's been extremely stressful, the whole situation.
What has this situation that is going on in Israel now, how has that affected your life?
Well, it's actually living in fear, getting out of the house, not sure what's going to what's going to happen. And in the neighborhood that I live, which is in Jerusalem, it's actually less stressful. But I have a grandmother and a mother that live in the center of Israel, where they get all the rockets fired toward their homes. And my grandmother, especially, she's really, really suffering from that. And she's an elderly woman.
But this isn't a new situation for you that lives in Israel. This is, well, unfortunately, a common situation.
Yes, actually, Israel has been experiencing rockets from Hammas for the past 20 years. The south of Israel has been receiving rockets toward their homes, and the children that live in these areas are really, really living in fear. And it comes to even mental health issues, stuttering, anxieties, and it's important for me to say that these children especially are experiencing that, because now we are attacking Hamas when it's going to Tel Aviv and to all the center of Israel, and which is good that we fight. But the people in Sderot and the south of Israel, they experience it all the time.
But this conflict that is going on now, what is the reason that it all started up? For us, it seems like a cat out of the hat. All of a sudden, it was boom. What was behind it all?
So if you ask me, everything started on TikTok, which I think personally, I don't like this application. I don't want to say too much, I just don't like this application. It started basically with an Arab hitting up a Jew on the train in Jerusalem, in the middle of Jerusalem. I take the train almost every day. And the feeling of being unsafe, just going on the train. So this Arab guy hitting on a Jewish guy on the bus. This is not the first time that this is happening. That Jewish people that with Haredi, like ultra Orthodox, they experience a lot of violence, really extreme violence, like beating up in the street, beating up on the bus, on the train. And I think this is what started it. If you ask me personally, it's not just Sheikh Jarrah neighborhood that people that have the right wants to go back and live there. It really starts with jihad that goes against Jewish people in their own country. And that also led to burning of synagogue, which only reminds me of Kristallnacht and dark ages of history in Germany.
Okay. So it's more complex than just like we might read on the newspapers here in Scandinavia and Europe.
Well, definitely in the media and even on social media, Hamas is getting a lot of attention. Well, we are actually living here and receiving rockets on a daily basis. There are people that only see one side of the story. The thing is that if you are saying that, okay, poor Palestinians, like Hamas is this and that, you're actually in a way supporting terror. Not you, obviously, but like I'm saying in general, figure of speech. Because the people of Hamas, they control the Palestinian people, but on the other hand, they get a lot of attention and a lot of care from Hamas. The Hamas gives a lot of attention to the Palestinians, and now we have 10,000 joining every day, and not every day, every year. Sorry, joining
Yeah.
every year, joining Hamas military because they get all this attention. And of course, Hamas has money. Hamas has money from Israel. Hamas has money from Norway, from the United States now with the Biden administration.
So it seems like they manage to get the attention from the world, and then the world support Hamas and with the economy that they need. But we also see on the news that the shield that you have over your country, it seems like it's very, very efficient.
Yes, it's very efficient. I think it's about 90 or 95% protection. I have to say that I read an article not too long ago about this. I think it's called Iron Dome in English, and it doesn't come without a cost. I'm not just talking financially that it's milliards of dollars. It is giving a lot of radiation to the people that do it, and they risk their life in order to save their families and in Israeli homes.
But how do you, as an Israelite, feel when you get attacked with hundreds and hundreds of rockets firing over you and your homes, and you fire towards a media house or a building, and the whole world is just booming you with criticism? How is that?
Exactly. So exactly like as you said, we got over 2,000 rockets from Gaza. And when we want to fire back, then, as you said, we're getting a lot of criticism, which I feel is extremely unfair. And that is why it's important to say that we have to look at the root of the whole problem, because let's say a few days ago in London, there was a big demonstration against Israel. And later on, there was a demonstration that the Palestinians, the Arab people that live now in London that support the Palestinian cause, they call to the rape of Jewish women. So if you look at the root of the problem, it's not just what Israel is doing. Okay, so we got thousands of rockets, we got hurt, even though we send them money, electricity, water, and whatever we can, and all we get back is rockets and fire. At the end of the day, if we look at it, we are facing terrorists that don't want just to destroy Israel as a country that they claim that does this and does that to them. They also really, really, I don't find it very, very different than pure anti-Semitism if we look at what they call to rape Jewish women in London.
Now, obviously, this is something that you can read about in the news more or less every single day here in the West. But as you said, there seems to be like this kind of anti-Israel sentiment in the coverage of the whole conflict now and in the past. Why do you think that is?
Well, to be honest, this is not the first time that I go on Vision Norge. I've been here before, and I was getting an interview on Dagen about 12 years ago when I lived in Norway. And I explained the same thing, that we don't have a lot of we don't have a lot of options. I said the same thing before, and it's the same situation today. Like nothing is new under the sun. When I lived in Norway, I experienced anti-Semitism, maybe not so much from the Christian community, but from around. And of course, a few people that really, really hate Israel, and it seems that that it's something that is unless you understand what we deal with, because if you got rockets from Russia to Oslo, what would you do, right?
Yeah, most likely we would defend ourselves as good as we could, Karen. So it is kind of unfair the way we're pointing directions towards how things are done in Israel, and but we would do exactly the same when it comes to our own homes. Keren,
Right.
thank you so much for joining us today, and I really hope that you will be safe, you and your family and your friends and all the people in Israel, and we hope for a peaceful solution for both sides.
Thank you. We hope so too.